Hey, my Aries rising friends. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today to talk about your June monthly astrological horoscope. My readings, my horoscopes, are sort of a combination of what I've learned in astrology and also how I have applied the divine laws of the universe to my own personal life. And I say this because I believe that this is what is been the underbelly of what we are going through and have been going through for the last few years as we are deconstructing old systems that no longer serve the evolution of the individual as well as the collective. So, when I talk about certain things, you're going to see themes of me really addressing your personal enjoyment, your personal pleasure, and your happiness. While there are events that happen outside of ourselves, when we start to connect astrology and the divine laws of the universe, we have more power and control over our participation in the co-created events. That includes world events, political events, communal events, and events within our own personal lives. So this June, I think that there are some important things going on. I'm going to talk about Saturn retrograding. I'm going to talk about Neptune's retrograde a bit. I'm going to talk about Venus's entry for 4 months into Leo and Pluto's re-entry into Capricorn. Aries, this is based on whole sign Western astrology, so I'm referring to Aries rising. This is also applicable to Aries moon and Aries sun, but the house will be different. So you're gonna, when I talk about the house, that's based on Aries rising. So let's jump in, because I think what I think is the most significant aspect of this month is Saturn stationing at 7 degrees for the entire month. Saturn moved into Pisces in March and will traverse the 0 to 7 degrees in this year, 2023. This is the first decan, basically, of Pisces, which is giving us an awareness. It's a bit of a cold shower. It's a bit of a wet blanket, in that Saturn's going to come in and really ask you, what is sustainable for you? What is it that you want? Saturn is currently traversing your 12th house. The 12th house is the house of what is behind us, what as a human we can't see with our visible eyes and are required to feel with our intuitive bodies. It's also a very dreamy house, a very imaginative house. It is a house that there's a bit of confusion because there is a wanting to express our creativity in the human experience, and then the harshness of the human experience can make us want to escape it, to transcend it, to go back into the collective as our soul knows that is our inherent beingness. We are inherently energy beings, and our existence will continue forever. So I think it's important to note that in this particular month, as Saturn is slowing in your 12th house at the 7th degree, and then will retrograde back over those first few degrees of Pisces, I believe it's asking you as an Aries, what have you garnished? What have you observed, and where are you creating balance for yourself and for those around you? Where are you being the inspiring energy, the heroic energy, versus the assertive, aggressive warrior energy? We are currently in a 7-year, 2023, numerology wise is a 7-year, and this month of June is halfway through the 7-year, and Saturn, the planet that rules our history, it rules our ability to build material wealth in the physical experience. And yet it requires tenacity and endurance and a sense of purpose beyond our own emotional comfort. That is Saturn, the way Saturn rolls. Well, as Saturn rolls that way, I'm sorry, I got distracted by my dog. It is, I believe that for my Aries in the sign of Pisces in the 12th house, it's asking you what historical and ancestral patterns are you still unconsciously purporting, and where have you evolved, and are you ready to incorporate the two things to create balance? Balance is not all sunshine. It is the understanding and the awareness of how the darkness and the light serve one another to empower us. I believe that the human experience and the pending Aquarian age is really understanding and starting to practice mindful thoughts so that we can better understand this tool we have been given to manifest in this dense environment. So as Saturn retrogrades and slows down, it's going to really be asking us those deeper questions. Saturn is going to be sextiling Jupiter in Taurus for the whole month, re-examining my belief system, re-examining what do I think about the ability for me to create wealth. Jupiter is currently transiting your house of money, the second house of Taurus, and Uranus is in that house right now, and Mercury is traversing that house right now. But I'm not going to focus on Uranus or Mercury for this month, because I think that the real benefit to extract is an awareness of historical and unconscious patterns that now give us an opportunity to shift and to hone those skills. So if you're an Aries who's particularly brave, but you find yourself appearing hostile to others, Mars's journey through Gemini through 2022 and 2023, the beginning of 2023, was giving you information about how you interact with others. And now Mars has been in an opposition to Pluto retrograde as it's been traversing through Cancer and now through Leo. And so this is about your heart and what you want. And there's this sort of push-pull energy. So now Saturn comes in here with Jupiter and offering you an opportunity to, through your willingness to take action on your being energy, the awareness of what is my vibration, what is my emotional dynamic, am I willing to be patient with the journey, am I willing to take in every moment of the journey towards my dreams, towards my desires, because I may have been missing something because I've been so impatient to get to the end game. And most of us who have been on the planet for a while realize that once we accomplish one thing, rarely do we sit in that accomplishment and really bask in it. Often we're just on to the next hill to climb. And that's why I picked this background, because it felt very Saturnian to me. There is a hill to climb. There is a vista to be seen from. And yet that climb can, at certain heights, feel very cold and unrelenting. But your bravery through them, your willingness to see the truth underneath the truth, what is most important to your heart. Because I think this is very important, because Saturn is also going to make, around June 10th, Saturn is going to make an inconjunct, or will be inconjunct to Venus. So this is going to be a period of time. It's going to go on from about, when Venus gets to be between 4 and 9 degrees of Leo, this is around mid-month in June, she's going to make a blind spot to Saturn. So Venus rules our self-worth, our ability to make money, our material resources. She rules the comfort in our homes and the music in our ears. And here she's making this blind spot to Saturn. And I think this is where this 7 becomes very important, because this is a year of introspection through intellect versus through emotion. And while I'm a big advocate of paying attention to my emotions, the human oftentimes goes to fear and stops there. I'm afraid. So when they're afraid, they inadvertently back up into what is familiar, Saturn. At this point, and Pluto's involved in this conversation, Saturn is saying, go deeper into your history and to look more succinctly and allow for clarity as I move out the fog. And when you realize what it is that you really want, then that is where your new beginning is being offered for you. And that's what I believe all of this last few years and these transits have been about. Because we tend inadvertently to think we have an answer. Humans are like, let's go, be productive. But what they don't really connect with is the energy with which we are being productive that actually manifests something that we find valuable versus something that just fills us for that moment. We also have, on the day of the new moon, Saturn will actually start its retrograde, which I thought was very interesting because the new moon is going to make a square. The new moon in Gemini, this is on June 17th, will make a square to Neptune. And I felt like this is just doubling down on the conversation that Venus and Saturn just had. The new moon planting the seeds in the dark of night to be harvested when they are ready. And the square to Neptune is challenging us at the 27th degree, the Gemini degree, to differentiate between the broader minded thoughts, the more Jupiterian thoughts versus our mercurial thoughts. The Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury rules our everyday activities. And oftentimes the human can get wrapped up in that cycle. And my hands almost feel like they're going backwards because I feel like this is an opportunity to step back and get perception, get perspective, get a broader viewpoint, because Saturn is talking to Jupiter in the month throughout the whole month of June, having a very I feel like it's a jarring conversation for Venus, because Venus has this blind spot to Saturn, and then she's going to hit an opposition to Pluto in no short time. And that opposition is really going to dig deep into what she believes about herself. So what do you, Aries, believe about yourself as the Venus and Mars are traversing your 5th house of conception? And that's not just the conception of children, it's the conception of your personal point of view out into the world. The first 4 houses, we're maneuvering ourselves in the beginning stages of the human experience. As we go into the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, etc. houses, we're going into the interactive houses with other people and from a more mature place. Yes, Gemini rules social activities, but it also rules school-age children. So I'm talking about this from a very personal and willingness to look at the imprint that I've been given, and is it serving me? Have I turned it into a tool, or am I still unconsciously operating on it? And is it truly fueling my dreams, or is it tethering me to something that I feel like I have to fight for? Because Saturn, after it has this conversation with Venus on the same, in that same period of time as Saturn is retrograding, saying, I'm going to review all of this. I'm going to rest in the 12th house of my dreams. I'm going to really examine how many times I use the word I have to, I should, I need, versus I get to, I want to, this seems like fun. Because that is the transformation of the human. There's no ascension to a higher mountain per se, but an awareness that understands the veil. So when the veil is lifted, we can celebrate and feel empowered. Neptune is also in your 12th house. So I think this is very important. We're going to see Pluto move back into your 10th house of Capricorn. And being at the 27th, 28th, 29th degree, that happens on, let me get my dates, around on June 11th, Pluto will move back to the 29th degree of Capricorn. It has always been my thought that those last few degrees, while they're important on an astrological basis, 29 is the anaretic degree. The 27th degree is the degree of Gemini, my thoughts. The 28th degree is the degree of Cancer, my emotional body and my intuitive body. And then finally, the 29th degree is the Leo degree, which offers me the expression of my heart and the conception of that and the applause of that. So here, as Pluto moves back into these degrees, it's going to square Aries late degrees. It's going to square the Libra energy, and it's going to oppose the Cancer energy, all offering you an opportunity to review at a deeper level the structures within your own life, how you have treated your life. And the 12th house of Pisces is also a house of health. It's oftentimes thought of as mental health because it rules mental hospitals, but it's also places where we spend time alone. It can be in an art studio, or it can be in an insane asylum. And at this juncture, Saturn's kind of saying, what are you going to choose? And Pluto is also saying, what are you going to pretend you don't know? Because it no longer will Pluto allow for that energy. So Pluto is your friend here. Pluto is saying, if for some reason you're going back to a situation because you find safety there, or what you feel could potentially be safety, but it's not really safety. It's just human structure, faux safety, where we give up our wants, our desires, our joy for a roof over our head, food in our mouth, and somebody that we think will pick us up at 2 a.m. when our car breaks down. Because Venus is traversing your 5th house. And I think that's very important, because the 5th house is the house of romance. It's the house where, for the first time, the soul experiences the adoration truly of other people. Romance is a very, it's like an elixir. It's a high all in and of itself. So here, as Venus is going to spend 4 months in this house until October, she's going to traverse through it. She's going to go from, let me look at my notes here. She's going to go from 28 degrees Leo, which is the Cancerian degree, all the way back to 12 degrees Leo, which is the Piscean degree. And then she's going to move forward again and revisit all those dynamics. Here, I think this is a real opportunity for, through Saturn's awarenesses, through Pluto's epiphanies, for Aries to really invest in themselves. And first and foremost, that is looking at, how am I showing up for myself as I endeavor these activities? Am I finding excitement and joy? Do I, as the audience of my own production, get excited and clap at the end of the production? Am I going about this in a way that makes me feel vital and alive? You know, Saturn is often talked about as ruling old age. And, you know, old age has never been revered much in modern times. Oftentimes we put the old somewhere else, either in a home or in a assisted living type situation, and we park them somewhere. And yet, as this age dawns, I think the ways of ancient times and our ancestors are going to become more palatable to us. We're going to want to find the ceremony and the divinity within our lives and promote that structure. So during this period in June, particularly, I think it's really about the review is, where is the balance in my life? Where am I integrating the balance? Where am I, as an Aries rising, standing in my hero energy and fostering a sense of peace, not only for others, but for myself? And I want to offer this because I think it's also a time to see how much you're taking in the beauty of your life and what you've already accomplished. Because if you can't take in what you've already accomplished, how will you really feel satiated moving forward? It'll be a series of accomplishments, then moving on, and they'll never, that feeling of settling into a rhythm. It's not stagnation, it's a rhythm and a trust. So I think this is a really important time. I think that June is going to offer us an illumination in a way that very much rather than looking outside ourselves as to what is not working or what is wrong or what is out of balance, we're going to look at ourselves as our point of attraction. And if for some reason that attraction brings in a wobble, we're going to start to look at the wobble as, what does that have to offer me? What is the gift from that? And through that, we're starting to bring in this awareness, and that awareness is going to start to differentiate itself from the herd. And this is where I think that Aries is a pioneer. This is where the real bravery comes, because it's recognizing your Martian energy and how are you using that energy. Because a skilled swordsman makes choices that are for the highest and greatest good of all. And the unskilled just wants to prove himself and tell everybody else, birds up to you. And that's the challenge, I think, of the Aries energy sometimes. So that's the keynotes for me for June. I will mention that I watched a video on Pam Gregory's site. It was called, I wrote it down. Oh dear, where did I write it? Here it is. It's a discussion with Julia Balaz about the Shapley Center. And I want to encourage you to watch that video, because it very much sort of on a scientific level starts to support the ideas of the law of attraction and the way that these systems, mainly the galactic center, the supergalactic center, the great attractor, and Shapley attractor, they all are points within the Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius energy. And our upcoming full moon in Sagittarius will be 1 degree away from the great attractor. And I think this is an important information that's come across, because the science supports the theory of the law of attraction. And so I want to offer you that. And I will be back next month with your monthly horoscope. Also, please join me Sundays live at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's where we look at the transits for the week ahead, and we do an angel reading and a tarot reading for each sign, to have them help us traverse these transits. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, please share, comment. And if you'd like to book a reading with me, my information is below in the description, and you can reach out to me. I don't put my pricing on my website. All right, everybody, take care. Peace out.